Good morning, chat, and welcome to this video. I'm Tessa. You might know me as Copiaperson. And now that we're all entranced with Papa 5 Perpetua and Lacrima and Satanize, I thought it's the perfect time for me to upload this video on how I made Copia's black spine jacket. And I'm talking about this one. I made this in September, October 2024. I filmed a bunch for that on my old phone, so the video will be in portrait mode, and no comment on the camera quality, but I really wanted to make a video about it and upload it and kind of take you to my process of how I made it. Because I think it's interesting and important to see that you don't have to have expensive materials, you don't have to be a master sewer or anything like that to make something for a cosplay. Everything is, on a budget. Everything is very, how can I make this? How can I figure this out myself? Which is very important to me and which I think gives cosplay stuff a lot of character, which is something I really like. And I think that luckily a lot of Papa 4's style lends itself very well to that. It has this certain kind of messy, kind of rat-bitten style to it, and that works out in my favor personally. I don't have the most delicate hand, but like I said, it lends itself very well. And I wanted to kind of take you through the process of how I made the jacket and the tie as well. So stay tuned, sit tight, and thank you so much. So because the jacket I made half a year ago before recording this, I think it's interesting and important for me to kind of take you through the process. So basically, I started with looking at reference photos, of course, and just making some drawings for myself to kind of map out what it is that I had to do, which you can see here. I drew the jacket and I wrote down the things that set it apart from what would be otherwise like a regular jacket. Of course, it's the spine back. Of course, it's the distressed seams, the buttoned lapels, the zippers in their sleeves. And then I went on to figure out how to do the spine back. And I kind of gauged the centimeters and the distance they had to have, and how I was gonna do it. And this is where I really mapped it out. So this is the system. I made loops, so separate loops that I would sew onto the jacket, and then I would overlay that with like a spine functioning strip of fabric all the way down, and then I could thread in elastic through the loop, and then I would just sew that here along these lines. So as for materials, I used this elastic. It's not that stretchy, but a little bit. This is a little bit thicker than the one I used. I think this is a 0.8 centimeter elastic. I used a 0.5 one that I got for very cheap at a online fabric store. This stuff is very cheap. You could even use shoelaces, you could use even rope or wool or any kind of yarn that you have. It doesn't necessarily have to be this. I use scrap fabric. Now, I have a lot of scrap fabric. I make a lot of stuff. I distress a lot of stuff. I usually use old clothes for that I am not gonna wear anymore, or that are like damaged anyway, so that I can't let anyone else wear them, obviously. These used to be pants, and now all that's left is this. And I used this fabric to make the loops for the back. It's a nice thin-ish fabric, but it is sturdy, and that's what I use for that. Otherwise, I just used black thread and a needle. I hand sew everything, and I think it is a very relaxing process. I think it's a learning process. I think it's something that can help you put your mind off of things. It can be quite therapeutic, I would say. And then what I use for the zippers on the side, this is a zipper that I took out of a pair of pants. You can take zippers out of old pants that you have. You have to look to the stitches and undo them carefully. Or you can get zippers online. I like to salvage zippers out of clothes that aren't gonna be worn anymore. What I did is I loosened these seams. So we have the back panel that the spine is going to be on. And just to kind of show what I mean. Okay, this is the entire back. I'm gonna put loops around this middle line. You can see the loops all the way from the top to the bottom. When I've done that, I'm gonna take a strip and I'm gonna sew it over all the way to the top. And then I'm gonna take the elastics and I'm just threading them through like this, and then I'm extending those all the way to here. And then when I sew the jacket back up, I'm gonna place them underneath and sew it up like this. So that's what I mean. It's like under this. Started sewing a bunch of loops, but basically what I do is I fold it in half and then I sew it shut. And then so what's gonna happen is I'm gonna sew them on in rows, you know, like this down the middle. I pinned all the loops to the jacket exactly in the middle. What I'm gonna do is take a strip and sew it like in the middle so that they're all covered. I have sewn all loops to the jacket. So yeah, it's going pretty good. Right now I'm sewing on the vertical strip, and after this I will be lacing. So I made a little example with this is a shoelace, which I won't be using, but you know, it'll look like this. And then I'll be sewing it back together like this. So I'll hem this again and fold it over and sew over it. Working on the lacing right now. I'm using this lace. I got 2 meters of it. Didn't measure anything, so we'll see. If it's not enough, then I'll have to find more. But so I finished all loops, and I decided to go ahead and just well, I suppose it's not really hemming, but kind of hem this portion. You see, it has like a rough edge, and before I attach the jacket back together, I'd like to tidy that up as much as I can. So I started putting down, and then I will attach this part of the jacket back, you know. I managed to pin everything in place for sewing. I'm sewing the jacket back together, so I've already done this, and everywhere it's pinned I still have to do. So that's basically almost everything. I've only done this little bit. I stitched the entire jacket up. For the front, I distressed the edges of the lapels, and what I did was I basically loosened this seam and I went to town. Honestly, I took a razor, I took like a scissors, a small pocket knife, and I just went along the edge like this just to distress it as much as I can. Don't have to be neat with this at all. For the buttons, I used some buttons that I still had that I painted gold, and the distressing basically goes all the way around the back of the collar, and then here and down the front on both sides. Some zippers on the sleeves. I did this by opening up along this seam, and basically I sewed that in. You can see here. For the tie, I had a blue fabric with 2 different kind of textures on both sides. I made a pattern, I cut it out, and then I sewed 2 sides together. I flipped it inside out, and then I ironed that flat. This is the tie all done. And this is the jacket all done. I wore it a couple of times already. I'm very glad with the results. I'm pretty proud of this one. And this is how it looks paired with the blouse. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope this was interesting or inspiring. Maybe you want to make one of your own. I hope you liked it, and stay tuned because I will upload more of this kind of video. I am planning one for Copia's stage pants, so sit tight for that. And for the people that already followed me on my socials, thank you so much. You've seen me posting about this jacket, about other cosplay projects, and thank you for the support and for being there, I guess. Yeah, it has been a really cool project, and stay tuned because I will be making more, especially now that Papa 5 is amongst us. So yeah, thank you so much and have a nice day. Take care now. See you soon.